Hello, today we'll be looking at what's come in this exciting box from TomTop, but just before we get into that, a quick reminder, please like or dislike this video if you don't like it, comment down below, don't forget to subscribe and click on that little bell icon and it might do stuff, who knows. What we've got here, this is the SG906 Max. This one says it's sort of branded ZLL. I've heard it called the Beast, and you'll notice this is very similar to a review I did not too long ago last year called the ZLRC Beast SG906 Pro 2, which looked almost exactly the same as this, and I thought it was not bad for a sort of toy grade quad. It had a proper 3-axis gimbal. It got a relatively smooth video, though the video quality wasn't up to much in particular. What does this do differently? Mostly it's got obstacle avoidance. Now you might think, oh, that's quite cool, it's going to be like DJI and just have all these little inbuilt sensors. And the answer to that is a little bit less subtle. It seems to have this little pod on top, which sort of recognises obstacles and avoids them, I guess. But I guess we'll take a look and see what it's like. Let's open up the box first off and see exactly what we're dealing with. So if we open up, we have got in here a bag, which looks like this. It's quite nice to get something in a bag, isn't it? You can easily put away. As you can see, this is literally my first unboxing. I haven't looked at it yet. And yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? It reminds me of the sort of stuff you get from the likes of DJI. And if we unzip this guy, oh, that's quite cool. Yeah, it's all packaged quite nicely. Very nice bag for this sort of thing. There is our quad, and it's got the folding type legs, which is very nice for sort of keeping it nice and compact. And let's take this sticky thing off here. It's got a battery in the back, again a little bit like DJI. It's got the 3-axis gimbal at the front here with the cover on, so that bit looks good. I'm noticing there's no bit here. Let's see what else is in here. Maybe it's somewhere in here. Aha! Here's a box called Mobile Scanning Active Avoidance. So I guess rather than redesign the entire quad, they thought, oh, let's just have a little add-on and we can just add functionality. So here's the little scanner, and it seems to be on some sort of server. Perhaps it rotates back and forth. And I'm guessing there's a little bit here which looks like it comes out and that pops into. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Got another box here which appears to be some spare blades and a USB cable. And over here in the other section we have this controller. This is quite swish. It's sort of a fake carbon fibre type look. And you've got this bit that comes down, and I guess that's where you... I'm trying to figure out where your phone would go in there. Hard to tell. But we've got a nice screen here, we've got some dedicated buttons, we've got 2 sprung sticks. Elsewhere, we have lots of instruction manuals in every possible language going. And it looks like we've got a specific manual for the obstacle avoidance thing, as well as one just for the base quad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through all of this, find out how it works, see what I need to get on my phone, get this charged up, see how this connects together, and yeah, we'll have a bit of a closer look on how this connects, and then we'll try and take it out for a fly. I'm locked down at the moment, so right now I'll be doing some sort of flying in my garden, or mostly hovering I suspect, but that will have to do until I can go out and do a proper flight. So yeah, as suspected, this little bit does come out. It's kind of, you can almost do it with a fingernail, but not quite. It's quite stiff, so it needs a little bit of a screwdriver just to gently prise it out. But once it's out, it's out. And as you might expect, there's a little bit of an interface there, and that just slots in. Just to explain about this one, it's got this rather scary message at the back, basically saying don't look into the laser. So of course the first thing you're going to do is look into it. There's actually 2 bits in here. There's this little bit you can't quite see in the camera, that shoots the laser out. This gets it back again. Basically it's like, you know, bouncing off stuff. Anyway, this slots in just like so, fairly easily. Connects up all right. And this is a little bit stiff. This you can get out with your fingers, but you've really got to get in there, give it a good old thing, because you do need to take it back out again if you're going to put it back in the bag. But that's it as it stands. As far as the controller goes, the phone fits at the top here, and this is quite handy because you've got plenty of holding space here, and you've got access to reach these buttons at the back, so that's all quite cool. Actually uses a different app than the last one. I've just found out it only wants to go one way up, so let me sort that out. You can basically make an app in the software decide whether it wants to adapt to where you turn it or is one way. This is just one way. Yeah, despite having the previous one, they've actually changed the app, I suppose, especially to support obstacle avoidance. But I thought I'd quickly turn this on just to see how it goes, and let's turn the control on first. So it's got a little side switch here to turn on, so let's do that. It beeps. Yeah, cool. And I just want to check this all basically works. So let's turn this guy on as well. It's got the normal stuff. It has its own Wi-Fi called XL Pro 5G blah blah blah. Go on to that one. Okay, well we seem to have a picture there. You can see I'm giving this drone quite a wiggle, and it's doing all right. So if we look there, you can see that the gimbal does an okay job. I can't see the obstacle avoidance doing anything at the moment, but that's probably because it's not flying, and it looks like it's an optical model at the moment, whatever that means. But well, that's all the inside stuff we can do, so time to get out at least into the garden and see what happens when we fly this thing. Okay, in the garden, quad is there, got the thing here, 7 GPSs. So what's my speed mode on? Speed mode is low, which you need for obstacle avoidance. And I haven't done the prepare to fly. Stick the stuff over here. Okay, so it's the normal turn it around thing. Okay, that's the calibration done. Shall we see if it turns on? Well, you can see the little obstacle avoidance thing happening. Doing its little sonar jobby. Not doing a bad little job. Fairly stable. Let's compare the so let's see what happens if we try and run it into the wall if obstacle avoidance is on. It says no. How far? It says it's 5 metres. I don't think my garden's that big, so if I go backwards, keep going backwards, and then I try going forward. I want to see what. It's still saying no. Still saying no. We need a 5 metre space. Right here. No, I don't want to go forward at all. Still a no. That's still a no. So we have to get up in the air. Oh, it has to be up that high before it goes forwards. So obstacle avoidance wise, 5 metres doesn't give you anywhere to go in a place like this. So I can stop that by setting speed to high. Okay. And now it should just go where I want it to go. Except it's not.
So just to explain in a little more detail, I'm pushing the stick all the way forward and getting those beeps. The manual said that if I put the speed into high mode, then obstacle avoidance would automatically fail, and I thought this was a way of turning it off, but it just doesn't seem to work. So in order to at least fly around the garden and get some video footage, I'm just going to need to remove the obstacle avoidance sensor altogether.
back to try it without the thingy. Got an SD card in there, so let's hit record. It's recording. See if we can actually fly anywhere now. Some less concerned about stuff. I'll let you fly into the wall if I want to. That response from my wife. Look at that gimbal, see how it moves. Not bad, is it? Okay, how do I move that? Where's that? Oh, we're on low battery. There's a bit of loudness. Bring you down. And now we're going to stop recording. Oh, I did just want to do one thing, and that's grab a quick picture. So let's have a quick look at the resolution of the pictures. That'll do you.
Just before we get into the detail about what we recorded, I just wanted to say in the phone view you do get an extra bit at the top which I've taken out of the video just to protect my GPS coordinates. You can see them here sort of blurred out, but you get stuff like your number of GPS satellites, your battery, and there's some icons here to change the camera, to set it between HD and SD, which doesn't seem to make any difference. And to sort of look at your past things, and you get your altitude, distance, and vertical and horizontal speed, which are all quite useful. It's a pretty good phone display all in all. And you will notice you can see very clearly that the video says it's recording, and the reason this is important is what I'm just going to come on to now. Okay, so first off, when you hit record, it's apparently supposed to record in two places, one of which is directly to the phone, the other is to the SD card. Now this is the one I pulled off the phone. It basically sits there in your sort of photos, if you like. And I had a look at this and I thought, hey, this isn't too bad for the phone. I mean, the frame rate is only 25 frames a second, which makes it a little bit jerky. It is in a kind of weird resolution of 2048 by 1080, which is just above 1080p. It's slightly wider than normal. But the problem with it is the data rate is quite low. At just under 7 megabits per second, that's pretty low compared to, you know, GoPro type standard. But I felt as far as a phone goes, this does a pretty good job. So I thought what we'll do is we'll take this as like this is a nice to have, but the good stuff will be written to the SD card. And this is where the problem came up. I had a look on the SD card that I recorded to, and I had a file there which was not readable. It also wasn't particularly big at only 86 megabytes, and I'd been flying for a good few minutes. Now, I hadn't even charged the battery when I did these two flights, which is why it emptied out so quickly. So I was a little bit confused by this, and I sort of went up in my office and I did a couple of start-stops using both the app and the controller, and the video seemed to turn on and off correctly. So that was a bit weird. So I thought, not a problem, I'll go out again and we'll try that again and see what happens. So what I ended up with is one usable bit of footage, which is 1 minute 22 seconds. Not exactly perfect, but does give us an opportunity to have a look at the video and judge it. So this is similar to what's recorded on the phone. The format is again 2048 by 1080. The frame rate has dropped slightly. I think it should be 25 frames per second, and possibly it's just dropped a couple of frames, and that's why it's showing 24.3. but the data rate has increased, so that's up to 11 megabits per second. Still nothing like a GoPro. What you can see is there's no real in-camera stabilization here, so despite the gimbal doing not a bad job, it's a little bit jerky and you can see some slight wobbles there. But I suppose it depends what you're looking for in this sort of toy grade quad. For a toy grade quad, it doesn't do a bad job at all, but it's nothing like anything that DJI actually produced. What it is not is a 4K drone, and lots of people attacked me in the last review for saying it's not 4K, and they're saying yes it is because the photos are 4K. Let's have a quick explanation of why this is a 1080p drone and not a 4K drone, and we'll take a look at the photos I took, because this is the end of the footage we managed to get here anyway. And I'm afraid the answer is going to sound pretty pedantic, but it's basically this: 4K is a video resolution. You don't have 4K photos, you have megapixel photos. And here's the photo I took of myself from that first flight, and this is what the phone picked up. This is an image size of 5120 by 2880 pixels. In video terms, this would actually be 5K. This is the same as my Apple Retina screen. So people aren't going, well, this is 5K. This is basically a 14 megapixel image. Now, how good that sensor is to individualize the pixels is another question. But this is a 16:9 resolution. What was interesting was when I got the photos off the SD card, of which I only managed to get some in my office, it was a different resolution. It was 4096 by 3072. In video terms, this is recognized as one of the more curious 4.3 4K resolutions. But yeah, it was putting out a 16:9 image to the phone and a 4.3 image to the SD card, none of which can be represented as 4K or 5K. They are between 12 and 14 megapixel photos. So it's a 1080p drone. Sorry if that sounds pedantic, but it's how it is. It sounds all flashy to say, yeah, it's 4K, because 4K is like, you know, a video resolution everybody knows, but that's not the case. And I want to make sure everybody knows that a 4K drone needs to film in 4K, not simply take pictures in 4K. But whilst out flying again, I did mess with a couple of the other features, one of which was the little camera button, and when you click that, you can go to various things, and this actually has a pure downward facing camera as well. It's not a very high resolution one. I think this is a 720p maximum, and you can see me trying to record stuff there, which never actually got to the SD card. But yeah, it's quite narrow as well, so you really have to get up in the air quite high to get any decent footage from this. And of course it's not stabilized because this isn't on a gimbal at all, so just be wary of that one. But I suppose it's nice to have, because of course the front camera won't go all the way down. Now, another thing you can do is pick one of the modes where you can sort of select yourself in your front facing camera, and I figured this would be a way of recording a vlog. Now, I wasn't sure if this was going to only come out on the camera or do something on the SD card or what, but I recorded it. Obviously we didn't get any SD card recordings anyway, but let's have a quick look at what this looked like on the phone recording. So I guess this is intended for blogging. I'm filming myself using my camera in this sort of split screen mode, whilst the drone is out there looking at me differently, which is weird, but I suppose if you wanted to make a little vlog and you're out flying, maybe that sort of thing would work. So if we look, so we can get this on camera, there it is. It's a pretty stable hover. Right up there, look. Not doing too bad at all. It's a weird one. Half my face, half the quad. So there's some jerkiness there. It's not quite what you want, and definitely the audio is out of sync. And I don't know if this is also because I'm doing a screen recording of the app as well as doing a general recording at the same time. Could be down to that. Don't know. I'll have to do some more of that and check it. It certainly had plenty of interesting modes, which is pretty nice. The bit I'm just showing here is there are buttons to adjust the angle for the gimbal. They are a little bit out of reach. They're kind of awkward to choose, but you can kind of get there if you remember. It's a little bit jerky how it goes up and down, but it seems to do the job. And with this battery, I went out and I basically went until it went to low battery, and I got about 16 minutes out of this, just sort of flying up and down the garden and round and hovering a lot. So it's not It's not quite the 20 minutes, but it's sort of more 15, 16, I think, a typical use.
Well, this concludes the lockdown part of the video, because there's only a certain amount of times I can hover it in the garden, and it's already boring enough for me, so I don't know how it is to you guys. Had a couple of problems there, I think mainly around the SD card. Basically it didn't like that one, so I'm going to try a bunch of others and just make sure I can get long recordings and that's okay before I go out. Fortunately, we've got some sort of roadmap towards ending lockdown in the UK, and we're getting the vaccine rollout. I'm having my first one on Saturday, so hopefully things will be a little bit back to normal. I can actually go out and fly this, because obviously we need to test the obstacle avoidance sensor in the wild, where we can actually use it without it just beeping and refusing to go anywhere. We need to check the range and video range, see how that is. Check some of the other modes on the camera, make sure I can get that sort of vlogging thing if I'm not doing the screen recording as well, see how that works. Yeah, all those bits really, just to see how it is out there. As it stands, this is very much a toy grade quad. At the price, it's about less than half the price of a Mavic Mini. Now, a Mavic Mini will blow this away. A Mavic Mini is like comparing a DSLR on one hand against sort of a throwaway disposable camera on the other. Now that's absolutely fine if that's the kind of footage that's going to appeal to you. You've seen the sort of video it will shoot. If that looks fine to you, great, get one of these. If you think like that's not good enough, I need something better, then you're going to have to save up some more money and get something more professional, like something, basically anything by DJI. And the Mavic Mini shoots amazing 1080p 60 frames per second video. You don't really need to go to 4K to have something amazing, and this isn't 4K. And the reason I go on about that is because when somebody sees like something like a Mavic Air which shoots at 4K, and they say, well, this also shoots at 4K, surely they're the same. They are not. The difference is light and day. But if you're happy with that sort of shooting, fine, check it out. Anyway, for now, this has been I'm just going to call it the SG906 Max. I think that's the best name for it. It was kindly supplied for review by TomTop, and there's links down below where you can check it out. Of course, I'll be back when I'm allowed to get out, along with a bunch of other things that I've been waiting to fly, and we can test this out properly and see how it feels. Until next time, hope that's helpful, and I'll see you. Bye.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.